Oh yes, ma'am, I think so. We can appreciate so much more because we grew up on the family islands with nothing, and whatever we had, we were satisfied with. Like I said, we didn't know that there was anything else. Whatever your parents gave you to eat, you had to eat it. Either you eat it or you go to bed hungry.
I've heard my mother say on Sunday sometimes, or they had Sunday dinner, was a braised duff.
Well, good for them. Well, thank God that we didn't have that. But yes, down in another settlement, they used to grind the cane. They used to have the cane syrup. Yeah. But we had nothing.
They don't appreciate what they have.
But we was, I look back today and these children, but the children are the way they are now because the parents are not teaching them and not telling them, because they think we've always had it like this. Yeah, when I was telling about my mother who had hand-me-downs sent to her from Fort Myers, Florida, I could remember there was a gray dress my mama cut up for me, boy, and I was so proud. After I came from school that Friday, I washed it and I hung it up in the dilly tree. And when I went back for it was that long because it shrunk. He didn't know. And then my father, like I said, he came to New Providence to work to send back the finer things that we would have needed as young girls living on the island. He sent a pair of shoes for my older sister Doris, and they were too small. That's the first time I knew about praying. I went into the bushes and I said, please let Papa send those shoes back for me. And sure enough, on the next mail boat, Doris got her new pair and I got mine. And we had to wear them once every Sunday, and you walked to church bare feet, and when you got to the church store, you put them on. And when church was over, you take them off and walk back home bare feet. And you had to save them. I mean, before we went to school in the mornings, we had to go to the farm to bring the meal, the wood back or whatever my mother would leave in the farm overnight to bring back this morning to have dinner. When you come out of school, your chores are late. And my father used to raise goats, and they were the most disgusting creatures in the world. And many times we would forget to bring them back. And when there is no breeze, mosquitoes are all over the place, and the goats are tangled up. And my sisters and brothers, we all robbing one another. It was your turn. We all got beating because he forgot to bring the creatures in. Because my father was he never talked much, and he never whipped much. But when he did whip you, you'll remember that for the rest of your life. Like me stealing the peanut seeds that my father put up on the shelf. And he caught me. And he just pulled off his belt and he gave me one whack and said, don't you ever steal from your parents. If you ever want something, always remember to ask. I will never, that's the first and last time my father whipped me. But it was my mother who did the whipping. And we had to go and get our own switch. And if it was too small, you had to go back and bring a bigger one. And I was saying, it didn't kill us. It made us better people. But today you have these children, who don't know anything about going to bed with a hot skin, my mama used to say. They need that so that they can remember, and the parents are to be blamed for it because they know better. We need to get back to basics, and I think we need to bring the cane back into school, and all the parents who talk about should whip them too. Because we would have a better Bahamas, and these young men, now here I go, I get a couple of But seriously, they need to be taught that this country is their country, and you have to take care of it. But I think if they could only understand that this is theirs, maybe they will try to wreck it like they're doing now. But maybe I said we need to get some women out there who ain't scared, like me. Anyhow, be that as it may, yes, sir, the green shirt.
Talking about not being scared. I was fascinated by you telling in the book that you had 2 set of nomination papers for the Andrews seat when they tried to call a snap election as you had with your husband out of the country. Would you like to expound upon that?
Yes. When the House was dissolved in 1966, I can't remember, Sir Lyndon and Sir Milo were in London at the Colonial Office, and nomination day came around, and the late successor was chairman of our party. And so he prepared 2 sets of nomination papers. a set for him and a set for me, just in case they did not accept his papers. I would have been prepared to step in. Yeah, because for my husband going to Andros, it was something that was an experience for him. Being a city boy, having to go to Andros, where there was absolutely nothing, and no roads, no transportation, no nothing. And so I had to precede him to introduce him to my family. My mother had a lot of family down there in down in the High Rock, Coppice area. And I remember when I went down after nomination, we went by a seaplane, and the plane landed in the creek in Driggs Hill. And we were on board this aircraft for an hour and some. No one would come to collect us, and the pilot said, look, as if we have to go back. Michelle was 2 years old, and she was with me. And someone finally came and got us. By the time we got off that aircraft, I was wearing a jacket, and it stood up like a piece of stick from salt air. But I did go back, and I introduced him to the people, and they said, well, you're McKinsey daughter, and so you're a home girl, and so if you're a home girl, we will accept a home boy. But he had to learn that people visited like 5 o'clock in the mornings. But my father's house, that beautiful house you see in this book, where I grew up, my father built a house in the back of the bushes because he didn't like black people. And so he built that house so people couldn't visit, you know? I mean, we were sleeping with one. But he didn't like black people. When the people came to visit, he used to be very angry. But my mother didn't pay any attention to that. But anyway, when my husband came, we had to put a lantern in the window in order for him to find the house. It was so far because we had to ramble through the bushes to get to the house. I was very ashamed, but that's how it was, and that's what my father wanted, and that's the way it was until he died, and then we built a small cottage for my mother near the street, and that's how it went. That's how Pindling became somebody. I mean, he said, well, you think these people expect me to get up now? I said, no, you don't understand island people. They didn't come to visit, they come to talk, and they think you get up. And there was a particular reverend named Jim Dunham. My grandfather was his brother. And so I introduced him around 8 o'clock when my mama opened up the house and my husband was out. And they were all sitting outside smoking their pipe early in the morning. And he said, my God, I have to smell all that tobacco. I said, that's what this life is about. You're going to learn sooner or later. And so they came into the house and I introduced them. And I can remember this reverend, big man. He says, oh, you say you come here to represent me, eh? He said, yes, sir. He says, well, we will try you, or you will mildew. My poor husband looked from one to the other. He didn't know what to say. He just came, yes, sir. I said, Cousin Jim, he's going to be just all right. I tell you so. Well, I was always, these were my family, so I knew them well. But that was his introduction to island life. And I want you to know that those people endeared him to their hearts. And that was, the rest is history. But it was an interesting life. But I never thought of running again. That was the only time.
Once there was I think in 1982, the newspapers were trying to, it was rumored.
Yeah, it was rumored, but that was...
You would run for North Andrews. You were Darrell Road, remember? I came across the evening, Joanne, you came across it.
That was the only time in 66. Never
But you weren't
since.
serious in 82.
Oh no, one is enough. You have to take care of that, and that was a job, yes ma'am.
Would you mind sharing one of your most memorable political experiences with Samaria and one of the first things?
One of the most
Memorable. Political or social? International?
it was when we won in 1967, they left me. Sidney Boyd here, the late Percy Munnings, they came, and I think it was Simeon Dole, they chartered the aircraft and collected to Linden and left me there in South Andros.